Binge watch and learn on TRS Clips. How often do you get asked about World War III?
Very often. And, I keep telling people the story of Norman Angell. Do you know who Norman Angell was? So he was a guy who won the Nobel Peace Prize, one of the earliest winners of the Nobel Peace Prize. And he wrote a book in 1910 or 1911 called The Great Delusion. Or was it The Great Illusion? I forget. And he said that the world was so interconnected, war was impossible. And guess what? 2-3 years later, World War I started, right? So there's a lot today to say the world is too interconnected. You can't really have World War III, but then you never know what happens tomorrow. And I mean, I really never thought Putin was going to. I knew Putin would ultimately invade Ukraine. I did not expect it. And a lot of people, all my friends who are linked to the intelligence community in Germany, in Israel, in France, were all predicting A, this would not happen, and B, if it happened, Russia would walk over in 3-4 days. The only people who went on saying, my friends who saying, Abhijit, you're wrong, this is going to happen, were my American and British friends. And I did not take them seriously. Because, you have your own internal filters, and usually I get so much anti-Russian propaganda for them, you kind of tend to zone out. And so, how we criticize the Americans that they only listen to what they want to listen to, I guess I fell into that same trap.
Okay. As a geopolitical observer, having contacts in places like Afghanistan and Iran, specifically highlighting that region, do you think it could be the beginning of something? Things could explode from there?
No.
Or it's Russia, Ukraine, if at all?
It's Russia, Ukraine, if at all that. Even there, I don't think it's going to explode. I think what's going to happen is war fatigue is going to set in about 2-3 years. And Russia will achieve most of its objectives possibly. Or if Russia has to lose the war, then the war has to continue for about 10-15 years. And I don't want to know how many people get killed in that. I really, because I have way too many love interests as well in Russia and Ukraine, and not so many in Ukraine, lots of Russians. And I don't want to think about that. Iran, again, my own thing is it probably won't, because I don't think people realize the level of social control that the government has on the people out there.
Where?
In Iran. It's so pervasive. There's it's a full-on surveillance state. The local mullah in the street will keep tabs on everybody and report everybody. I've never come across a culture so averse to discussing politics as Iranians in Iran. When you meet Iranians in the city that's called Teheranopolis, which is Los Angeles, they only want to talk politics.
You mean there's a lot of Iranians in
Los
LA?
Angeles has a massive Iranian population. They want to talk politics. But in Iran, it's the moment you want to start talking politics, they're like, oh, okay, let's talk about food. Let's talk about this kebab, or let's talk about this korma, or let's talk about the latest movie that's come out.
Damn.
Yeah.
What's their perspective on India?
Indifferent. They don't really think about India. They don't have any knowledge of India. They don't care about India. Indian cultural influence there is zero. They actually look down quite a bit on India. Yeah. They genuinely think that they civilized us, possibly. I mean, they won't tell me that to my face. They're very polite people. In Iran, if you want to insult somebody, if I want to say, Ranveer Allahbadia, you're the biggest fool I've ever met in my life, an Iranian will never say that to you. He'll say, Ranveer Allahbadia, you are God's shadow upon earth. You're the celestial glow of your intellect emanates everywhere. This isn't studio lighting we're seeing. This is the glow of your intellect that is, and all the time he's actually calling you an asshole, a bigger asshole, and a triple asshole and a quadruple asshole and a universal rectum. But It's sickeningly sweet, polite. That is how you insult in Iran. It's called tarof. You know, in Hindi we say tarif. Yeah. So it's called tarof. And it is the most, it's how civilized people insult each other.
They don't
And
just...
you can do it in public. You can do it in front of the kids because you're not teaching the kids bad language.
You're not going, hey,
Exactly.
Not going like, okay.
You're saying, you know, the sun doesn't rise in the east and sets out of the west. It actually comes out of your rectum in the mornings. And, you know, so it's like, so Iranians are, they really don't give a damn about India. Which I know Indians would love to figure somewhere there. But they have this image of them being one of the great world empires. Historically, they have, right? They were the ones who were Alexander's primary enemy. They were the ones who were Rome's primary enemy. They were the ones who were Byzantium, so the Eastern Roman Empire after Rome falls, primary enemy. They were the primary enemy of the Ottoman Empire, was the primary, well, not the Ottoman Empire so much, but, they were the secondary. They don't want to accept that they were the secondary enemy of the Ottoman Empire. They prefer to think of themselves as the primary enemy of the Ottoman Empire, which is, you know, the Ottoman emperors used to call themselves the Sultan of Rum, the Roman emperor, Kaisari Rum. So for them, it was a continuation of this East versus West battle, and that they were always the guardians of the East and the defenders, kind of. They are a great empire. We're like one of those, they live in Antilla and the rest of Indians live in Dharavi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many high school analogies that come to my head when you describe it this way. You know, that kid who's like probably flunked continuously, still in 12th standard, but thinks he's the shit.
Yeah.
So TRS Clips has all sorts of videos and all sorts of playlists. Make sure you explore the channel by subscribing and heading to our homepage and reading through all the playlists.